Okay, everybody, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are on this beautiful planet. Thank you so much for being with us today. We're continuing the conversation in regards to UFO disclosure and what is going on ever since December 16th in regards to the viral mainstream news campaign in order to push the Pentagon's UFO program that they had been running for quite a few years, and then some information came out that it still probably was running once they shut it down. So we've been exploring this from many different angles. We've had Grant Cameron, we've had Steve Bassett, we've had Paula Harris, we've had David Sarita, and then yesterday morning we had Nick Pope. So there's a lot of perspectives. And today we're going to go into another perspective. And just before we started this, when I was talking with Jason Quitt, who we're going to be bringing on in a few moments here, we're saying that there's so many perspectives and there's just a lot of speculation in regards to this. We truly don't know what the true agenda is, because the individuals that are actually pushing this are the ones that really don't come around the UFO circuit, and they aren't the ones out there telling the public the truth from a place of transparency and vulnerability like a lot of the individuals that we're bringing on are. So we're going to continue the conversation, and the intention really is to just keep this energy up, the vibration up, because regardless of the agenda, we still have the ability to say and validate and verify that UFOs exist. And obviously, there's probably something non-terrestrial behind the wheel, and the cat is out of the bag. They have said something on that. Now it's up to us to take that information and steer it how we want to. So today we're bringing on Jason Quitt. And Jason, he would be considered a lifelong experiencer who has interacted with the multidimensional worlds. Since an early age, Jason has been awakened to things that are outside the normal range of perception of just the physical world. He has had many out-of-body experiences and has encountered ghosts, aliens, and other dimensional beings. He has been taken out of body time travel journeys and has remembered many of his past lives. Ever since he can remember his first out-of-body experience, he found that under the right conditions, he could leave his body and start to explore these new dimensions that had opened up to him. As he started to venture out into these new worlds, many different beings, guides, masters, and energies started to come into his life. They would often wake him up and take him out of his body on journeys to many places and timelines to show and teach him many new things. He was no longer the same person after experiencing these journeys. So we're going to bring Jason on. I'm extremely excited to talk to him about all of his experiences here. But today we're going to talk about disclosure. We'll be getting into experiences later. So Jason, here you are. How are you doing, brother?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Did you write that introduction bio?
No, I took it from Contact in the Desert's website.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Great. Yeah, no. So since December 16th, people have been losing their minds. Let's be honest. The Pentagon released the video, now the infamous video of the Tic Tac UFO with the pilot commentary. And I think it was filmed in infrared. So you can just see it, but they just focused on one. I think in the video, they said there was an array of them. And they were also tracking it on radar and other systems days before this event occurred. Now, like you said earlier, we have no idea what the real purpose and agenda is for the Pentagon and the CIA and all these other organizations to come forward to say, yes, we have witnessed unidentified aerial phenomenon, and it's true. So what has pushed them over the edge to release these things? I think, people are getting too involved with, Tom DeLonge or his organization or the people he's working with, and, they're thinking about all these different agendas that they may play. I think the whole purpose of this that we need to look into is just look at the evidence that's being presented. So the mainstream media is putting out actual videos, or the Pentagon is putting out actual videos of these UFOs. So instead of getting into politics, instead of getting into agendas to try to figure out why they're doing this, we need to sit back and look at the evidence and try to understand what it is we're seeing here. And, from my background, I'm not really interested in the flying saucers that, you know, are metallic. They have, you know, they were saying electromagnetic engines. For me, that's not interesting. I've been hearing about that from experts. People have been coming forward for about a couple decades talking about that type of technology. What I'm more interested in is the phenomenon that is really not explainable yet to our level of awareness, which is the ships that are multidimensional, the ships that are not metallic, and the ships that could pop in and out of time-space. Are they operated by a consciousness? Are they operated by a being inside or outside? Or are they conscious itself? So there's so many questions surrounding this. And I'm actually quite happy that they've released these videos, and there's going to be more. And I predict that every other video that they put out, it's going to be better and better. So people are now going to start talking about this at the dinner table. And I think this is where it's leading to, and this is where it's going to hit the mass mind, is that right now, the only people really talking about this is the media and the UFO community. It's really just a back and forth between them, and everybody's fighting about, you know, what agenda is this person, you know, connected to deep state, or is this some agenda to take over the UFO community? You know, there's all these speculations on why they're doing this. And, you know, if I just sit back and look at it, the UFO community has been coming out with the most amazing information for decades. For the past 10 years, the information coming out of the UFO community from researchers, whistleblowers, experiencers, the information that's been coming forward is so amazing that I think that's what really pushed this type of disclosure. Because, you know, you turn on the TV and, you know, the History Channel, A&E, all these shows, and even tonight, Fox is doing the X-Files. We are obsessed with UFOs, the unknown, paranormal events. We're obsessed with it, and it's reaching this mass, critical mass, where people, they're so into it. So this is the perfect time, perfect opportunity for this slow release into the mass consciousness that, yes, UFOs are real, but they're not saying they're piloted by anything. They don't know. They're not saying it's extraterrestrial. All they're saying is there is this phenomenon that they've seen and witnessed and recorded, and they are only speculating. Now, the problem that I see with this is where it's coming from. And it's coming from the Pentagon, it's coming from military sources, it's coming from CIA, NSA, you name it. It's coming from a very high level of government. And, you know, they may tell us something outright, this is what we need to believe and this is what we are showing you, but in reality, that is not their intentions. So I think at this time, instead of fighting with everybody on, you know, this person has an agenda or this is what's happening, we need to just sit back and look at the evidence, look at the videos that are being released, and just focus on that as, okay, this is real proof that, one, we're not alone. There's something else out there that we can't explain. And if the government or Pentagon comes out and says, yes, this is little green men, you know, we shouldn't all just jump on the bandwagon and jump to the conclusion that this is exactly what they say it is, because we really don't know the true agenda of any of this. And even Tom DeLonge on his Twitter, I think it was late October, he wrote that him and his group were planning this for months and months before they were going to release this, which means the people that he was working for still worked at the Pentagon, still worked at the CIA, still worked at the NSA. And if you work at these programs, if you work at this level of government, you know that you have to sign non-disclosure agreements, and you're not allowed to talk about anything classified, which tells me that this has been planned for a very long time for a certain release of information, but they're not releasing anything classified that they don't want us to know unless it serves the purpose that it's intended for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I feel that in regards to speculation, that people's inherent trust of the government isn't allowing people to appreciate what's actually happened here. You know, like I spoke to a lot of people, and I've actually been shut down or well, people have reached out to me telling me not to basically spread this story anymore and tell people about the viral campaign from the mainstream media, what's happening because of this false flag agenda that they're speculating is actually happening because no one really knows what's exactly happening. And so, but I feel we need to honor the fact that the only other option besides what just happened right now is to maintain the status quo. Instead, something happened, whether they have a positive or negative agenda that's disrupting the status quo, that is only allowing us to have more light onto the UFO community, you know?
Yeah, and what I really want people to understand is that there are so many researchers out there, there's so many people that have given their lives basically to pushing information into this community. And their voices really do need to be heard. There's very important information that a lot of people are releasing. And we need to look at all these sources to find out what we think is the true information. Because once something goes mainstream, it's almost like you're capturing an audience. And when you capture that audience, you can then say, this is the truth, this is what is out there, and there's no question about this, don't even question us. You know, so if all these people for 60 years or more have been giving extremely valuable information on this topic, it shouldn't be swept up under the rug. And now we're only looking towards the Pentagon and the information coming from a couple sources. I'm not saying they're good or bad sources. I'm just saying we really need to see all the research that has been put out over the years and respect all these people that have given so much to the community. Because again, you know, everybody is very afraid. And I think a lot of the comments come from fear. And they have been talking about false flag alien invasion for many, many years. You know, does this sound like it could lead up to it? Yes, but there's so many ways that this can go that how can we say it's going to be this or that? So we really have to, like you said, sit back, maintain the status quo, don't go crazy over what's happening, be very grounded, and know what other people are bringing to the table as well as what's being released publicly.
Right. The exciting part is because I do a lot of research on the internet for disclosure and people that are doing anything disclosure. So because of our organization, so monthly I search keywords in Google to see who's showing up, right? Just so I can reach out to them. And the cool thing is, like, if you type in anything in regards to disclosure, UFOs, ETs, yeah, the first few articles will be CNN because they own the internet, right? But then right afterwards is everything that we're connected to, all the people. You go to YouTube, you can type in UFO disclosure and not get all the people that you're referring to. So it's like some people feel that they're trying to hijack this movement, but there's so much videos, articles, footage, research out there done by people like us that if someone just like a layman starts to research it, they're going to be funneled into the wisdom that has been out there for many, many years now.
Yeah, and here's the truth. It's like if my grandmother is watching Anderson Cooper on CNN and he's saying UFOs exists and this is the proof, my grandmother is going to say Anderson Cooper said UFOs are the truth. Now, remember back in the Larry King days where they would have four-star generals sitting around the table and the four-star general will say, yep, this is a video of a UFO disarming a nuclear weapon, you know, right on Larry King.
Right.
And beside him is the guy that runs Skeptic Magazine. And he says, oh, it's just swamp gas. Okay, so you have a 4-star general and a guy who edits a magazine or produces a magazine, and they have two very different views, but it's called balanced reporting. And it's funny, but they wouldn't allow that information to come out unless there was a skeptic to say it's nothing, don't worry about it. Because if there's a 4-star general on CNN saying that a UFO took down our nuclear weapons, there would be hysteria and panic, you know? So they need that guy sitting next to the general to say, oh, it's just swamp gas, don't worry about it. So then people's mind just calm down, and then they just store it, they don't really use it. But right now, there's really no back and forth in the media. They're just reporting that the Pentagon has released this. There's no, this is fake, this is stupid, this is swamp gas. They're just saying matter-of-factly that they have this information now and they're releasing it to the public. Also, they said that this program is shut down and it was run at this time through the Pentagon. That may be one out of 100 different programs that they're running on this subject. You know, so there may be many active arms in this type of research, in this type of area in the government.
Right.
But we will not know that. So again, we really don't know the truth. We really don't know what's going to come from this.
Right. And one arm or one faction might not know that the other one exists. You know, like if there's the secret space program, all this information about the secret space program is coming out right now. However, this doesn't seem to be part of any secret space program. It seems just to be a program designed to identify what's going on. They didn't mention anything about creating a whole entire program on it. So you feel that there could be different factions. How about the fact that a lot of individuals in the community say that governments are actually communicating with extraterrestrials? In this program, it seems that they don't have any direct communication. Do you feel that there could be other programs where there's actual interaction with them?
Yeah, and you know, there's been releases of many different so-called programs ever since the 60s, 70s, 80s. So there's all this stuff buried. You know, I think personally, the government knows all this anyways at certain levels, and they're just slowly releasing it. And I think that human beings have come to a point in their evolution in science where we're starting to figure out these advanced energy technologies ourselves. I think that we've come to that point in science. So eventually, very soon, humans are going to be coming up with these type of devices and machines. And maybe this is another way of allowing that technology to come forward, or capturing that technology so it's only used in the hands of the military and government.
Right. Do you feel that any of these technologies being discussed could actually be in existence already?
Yes. I've had conversations with many people that have been doing this type of work for generations. And the things that I'm hearing right now being talked about is things that they were talking about 20, 30 years ago. So it's new to people that don't know anything about this subject. But for the people that have been in this for so long, this is very old news. And I think that's why there's a lot of frustration and anger, because this is very old news. We're way beyond that. It's just like NASA having a meeting every week with the press and saying, we haven't found alien life yet. You know, every time there's a press release, you just keep getting angrier and angrier and more frustrated because they're not telling you anything. You know that there's all these releases of information, but they're still covering it up. They're still denying everything. And now they're just coming out and saying there's some type of metallic ships that outfly us. We don't know anything about them. And we're not going to jump to the conclusions that it's beings from outer space.
Right.
So basically, they're not telling us anything.
A lot of researchers and I guess you would say UFO spiritualists, people that are into the consciousness aspect of it all, they have been saying that, you know what, we've heard all this before. Um, like we know all this stuff is real. Let's get into the consciousness. But I would like to add to that that don't forget that most of the planet didn't know that this was real, right? So the information is for them, and then the consciousness is the next step. You know, like even Tom DeLonge on the Joe Rogan show when Joe Rogan asked him like, "Oh, who are these beings that you're referring to?" And then he goes, "Oh, I don't know. You might think I'm crazy." And then the Joe Rogan says, "No, try me." And then he goes, "Well, the government believes that we're in communication with beings from that advanced beings that left Atlantis and evolved in consciousness and are now helping us." Spear our consciousness into different cycles of consciousness, basically. So it's like even the government has this connection to it. So what's really happening here is bigger than most may realize. That the ancient civilizations, the ancient alien concept, and the UFO disclosure concept, which have all been kind of on their own, even though interconnected, have now been brought together through Tom DeLonge and the government and the military. You know?
Yeah. And I think the most important thing for us to do now is start the conversation, open the conversation up, not online with people like us. You know, go when you go out for dinner with your family, bring it up. Hey, did you know that the Pentagon released UFO information and they're saying it's real? Go out and talk to your family, talk to your parents, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles. Just start talking about it in a family setting. And that's the way to get this message out, to get this information out.
Yeah, I feel that that we're going into a world that's going to be an ascended world, that we're moving up in vibration, and I feel part of that is that we're going to have open contact with extraterrestrials in sometime in the future. However, how do we get to that level when there's a whole planet that doesn't believe? How do we get to a level where people are even open to it? So I think that this, even though they may say that they have the worst agenda ever, right? No matter what, the end result is going to be awesome, I feel. And they may have a bad agenda, but what they're doing is actually going to have a positive effect because it's going to open people's minds up to the possibility of extraterrestrial contact.
That's right. And this has to do with even Star Trek. All right. It's about projecting how we want to see ourselves in the future. It's inevitable that we will travel the stars, that we will ascend, that we will evolve. And we hope that we evolve in a way where it is like a Star Trek thing, where there's a lot of morals and ethics, and we're out there to do the right thing. So that is a projection of what we can attain as human beings in the near future. And I think that these are very small steps of awakening and disclosure that will allow us to reach that final goal of becoming moral, ethical beings, evolved beings that can travel beyond the planet Earth.
Exactly, brother. I'm excited to see what's to come. They've said everything that they said they're going to do in the last 2 months, they did. And he said he's going to start releasing HD quality videos. This is just the first one. And like you said earlier, I think the video footage is going to get better because they don't want to just blow our minds with some like alien autopsy. You know, it's probably like going to be little by little. But I got a feeling that this year is going to be huge for all of this.
Yeah, we have to really watch it closely. And like I say, keep our emotions, you know, at a calm level.
Yeah. Don't get too excited.
Just allow them to do what they're going to do. And then, you know, all the research that we've been sitting on for all these years, we can now take that research and apply it to what's being shown. And then we could generate our own opinions and our own conclusions because we really don't know what type of agenda this is.
Right, exactly, brother. All right, so we're gonna wrap up, but I wanted to see if you had any last thoughts, last words, or what we can expect in the next year from you.
Well, hopefully I could finish writing some new material. It would be based on consciousness, outer body experiences. And like I said, there's so much happening right now that we really just have to sit back, take it in, and then form our opinions and judgments because a lot is going to happen in 2018.
Exactly. And then at the end of 2018, October 2018, you're going to be at our live event, the Portal to Ascension conference. So I'm extremely excited because it's going to be a lot of things that are going to happen from now until then. So I'm not even really planning for what's going to happen on that day. So when that day occurs, we'll all be there together, a lot of people in the community, and then we can look back at what's happened this year, you know?
It's going to be great.
Yeah. Awesome, Jason. Thank you, brother, so much for who you are and everything you do. Really appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
All right, Jason, talk later. Bye.